Are you living in a state that is known as a haven for these monsters? Joining me now is Dr. Maurice Godwin, a former cop. He's mapped out where predators are hiding. And also joining us, Florida's Attorney General, Charlie Crist. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good to see you.
Thanks for being with us. Doctor, let me start with you. You have actually identified these top 5 states where sexual predators live. Let's take a look and see where your research shows sexual predators seem to go to: Illinois, Florida, Michigan, Texas, and California. And they're not limited to there. You also outlined the top 10 states, and it's interesting to note that it's mostly border regions. Finally, as if seeing your state on this list isn't frightening enough, the number of predators in these areas is on the rise. Washington State, you've pointed out, up 993% for sexual predators moving there. Florida, up 122%, both of those over a 2-year period, 2002 to 2004. That's really frightening. What can parents do?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. The reason why that states like Washington State, which also has an inordinate amount of serial killings, the rural terrain and the wooded areas and stuff provides a anonymity, they feel a psychological blanket of protection there. So they go. Alaska is another state, although it's not on this. I used to live in Alaska, and Alaska is a place where a lot of sex offenders live at because it allows them to have, they think, anonymity.
Attorney General Crist, Florida has just passed very tough legislation and new criminal penalties for sexual predators and offenses. Are you convinced now that you've taken it as far as you can and that you might deter these people from coming to Florida, and if they do, that they'll pay the price?
Frankly, Jamie, I think that we need to do more. We've passed a very good statute, the Jessica Lunsford law. What that requires is that they have anklets on them, that they are able to be tracked with the GPS systems that you see on a lot of cars and boats now, frankly. In addition to that, the new Jessica Lunsford law requires increased penalties, minimum mandatory of 25 years in jail or 50 years maximum. But I think we need to go to the second step. I think we need to take it a step further and say that, instead of just being able to track them with the GPS devices, because those are intended so that you know where they are. I think it's important to know where they are by putting them in jail, to incarcerate them, to make sure that they can't victimize our young children. That's happened over and over again in our state with Jessica Lunsford, who's on the screen now, Carly Bruscia, who was abducted, raped, and murdered back last year in Sarasota, Sarah Lundy in Hillsborough County, which occurred, not long ago. That's the Carly Bruscia tape you're looking at now. That's Sarah Lundy. I mean, these things happen over and over again, unfortunately, in our state. But in each of these cases, those who committed the crime had already been incarcerated in Florida. They had gotten out, they had served their time, and been put on probation, which is a privilege. Once they're put on probation, like the fellow you're looking at now, John Couey, then they violated probation, they went before a judge, and the judge decided they could stay out. We in the Attorney General's office believe that they should be reincarcerated, locked up, so they cannot roam the neighborhoods of Florida. They can't get out anymore, and they can't victimize Florida's children. We need to protect our people.
2 things that I just wanted to mention, Doctor, that you point out, tips for parents. One is that teenagers, perhaps even younger children, because now elementary school kids are carrying cell phones, they should have ones with global positioning. And also you point out that it's very easy for someone to get a universal remote to a garage door, stand outside your house, and 5 minutes later get your code. Can you give us one other tip we can take home tonight?
I think, there's one tip that's for parents. I think necessarily not to be scared of strangers, but it's the individuals who know you who are the most dangerous, such as acquaintances or actually family members. So it's not necessarily strangers. And I applaud the changes in Florida that Attorney General is doing. If I could briefly also say something about the Lundy case, I had done a geographical profile in that case, and the suspect in that case, had been living with his ex-wife right down the street from Sarah Lundy, and when they was looking for her where she was at, I went on and found where his previous address was with his ex-wife, and I said, and it was only like a 3/4 of a mile.
Well, you know, Doctor, that really points out that we never know where these predators are living. Parents can't be too cautious, and we appreciate your tips. And Attorney General, keep up the good work. We know you're trying to push for a national registry and national legislation. Thanks, both of you, for being with us. Coming up, tensions are growing inside of Neverland and outside the courthouse as the world waits for a verdict in the case against Michael Jackson. The very latest is ahead. But next, a suspected terror cell is broken up right in the heart of Northern California. Is this bust just the tip of the iceberg, or are there more cells just waiting for the right time to strike? That investigation next as the big story continues.
The new BMW 3 Series.
I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texarkana, Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallapoosa, Glen Rock, Black Rock, Little Rock, Oskaloosa, Tennessee, Chicopee, Spirit Lake, Grand Lake, Devil's Lake, Crater Lake, Beach Lake. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
To get 2 free nights at these Choice hotels, get the no annual fee Choice Privileges Visa credit card. For reservations and more details, visit choicehotels.com. Choice Hotels. We'll see you there.
Look, Mold, she's about to choose a seasonal allergy medicine.
Pick one of those. You could be suffering in 6 hours.
Choose any of those, you could be drowsy. Allegro 180!
Lasts all day and non-drowsy.
Why did I even pack those others?
Not one of these allergy medicines can give you long-lasting seasonal allergy relief without the risk of drowsiness. But Allegra 180 can.
Non-drowsy Allegra's worked all day.
For people 12 and over, side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or backache.
Allegra's gonna work all night, too.
Long-lasting Allegra. The relief goes